The tiny whoop build with you. You've got these tiny whoops here. This is what this kind of style of quadcopter is called. The one reason why I chose these is they actually operate the same way as a large quadcopter, but they are very durable and kind of easy to build. So let me go through the assignments here. You've got one, label and define the drone parts of a tiny whoop. And I give you a list of the things I want you to label. You're going to talk about principles of flight. I'll explain a little bit over some of that. And then you'll be doing some simulator training on the computer before I let you start. And then you'll start flying your tiny whoop, practicing for the competition. Okay, so let's talk about, first you got to disassemble your quadcopter. So if you have this tiny whoop right here and you take it all apart, it's going to look a little something like this. Go and bring it in a little closer. It's going to look like this. You got a bunch of different parts, okay? Now I want you to label and define these parts. I'm going to go over them roughly with what they are, okay? First thing is the flight controller. So the flight controller is actually, if you remove this little sticky stuff right here, which you don't have to do this for the assignment, but underneath this control board right here is the flight controller, okay? This is the brain of the computer. You plug it into the USB here to program it using Betaflight. You can put it into boot mode where you flash firmware, like the operating system on it there with that button, and this button binds it to the transmitter. You hold it down when you plug the battery in, and it puts it into bind mode, and you can bind it with your transmitter. Your transmitter is your controller. Okay, this flight controller has a built-in receiver. Okay, a receiver is what receives commands from the transmitter, and the transmitter is basically your controller. So your transmitter, which here's one right here. There's two different ones you guys might be using depending on how many people in your class are working on it. Here's one style of transmitter, and here's another. Okay, this sends out radio waves, which is picked up by this antenna. This is the receiver antenna. Okay, and and it tells the drone when you tell it to go forward, or go up or go up. Okay, right here, this is the camera. Camera is obviously a camera. It's what you're going to see. You're going to fly FPV. Okay. Right here, no, actually right here, this is actually, these detach. You can take this off. It's separated from the camera. This is the VTX. This receives the information from the camera. It also powers the camera and sends out another radio wave to your headset. Okay, so this is a video transmitter. So think VTX, video transmitter. Okay, and this is a dipole 5.8 gigahertz antenna. Okay, and it sends the video signal. The video is not the highest quality, but what it is low latency. And on these controllers, to change your VTX channel, we're gonna have to put a button back here, and I'll show you guys how to do that later on. But you can also just kind of lick your finger and actually touch, and that'll short the connectors, and you can change your video channel like that. You don't want to all fly on the same video channel because you'll see each other's video feed. So the cool thing about this is you can change the frequency that sends out the video, and so multiple people can fly at the same time. And also one thing to note about the flight controller is that they all have an arrow. This is the direction that's forward. So if you forget which way to put the camera, look for the arrow, okay? And you don't necessarily have to take the camera off. You can just like flip it over for the assignment and say this is the VTX here, and then this is the flight controller here, and then this is the VTX and camera. Okay, dipole antenna, receiver antenna. This right here is your frame, okay? This is a tiny whoop frame, but it's got a carbon fiber base here, and then ducted fans. So this is where your motors go. Okay. So your battery actually plugs into what's called the ESC. Your battery gets plugged into here. Okay. These can run on 1 or 2 cell. To wire this in 2 cell, you have to wire this in series, which means you'd cut like either the black or red and attach it to the opposite color of the other connector. So like if this red, you'd connect to the black part, and then you'd send the red part back to here, and you could run it in 2 cell. Okay, this is what controls how much electricity goes to the motors and how fast they go. Okay, so these are brushless motors. You can actually see the size and kV rating, which is how fast they spin, here. The size kind of determines how much torque it has. The kV rating kind of determines how fast it spins when voltage is applied to it. So this is 0603 15,000 kV brushless motor. Okay, and this is a 4-in-1 ESC, which means it's got 4 different ESCs in one. And it connects to the flight controller right here through these 4 pins. All right, so the flight controller sends information here, tells this what to do with these motors. All right. And let's see what else we got on here if I forgot. Ducks. Oh, one thing to notice here is actually you've got 2 different props. Some props have blades that spin this way, and other props have blades that spin this way. Well, if they spin clockwise, they're called clockwise CW props. If they're CCW, they're counterclockwise. Okay, the direction your props spin is very important. This is the standard way they go, where the props spin in towards the camera or the flight controller. So these spin back in towards. Okay, but you can also do it the opposite way. It really just depends on your personal preference. Different ways are good for different things. If you're going to be doing a lot of like diving, switching them is good. If you're going to do a lot of like turning and banking, the standard way is better. So it kind of just depends. This right here, the plastic part, is your canopy. Okay, and that goes over the drone, kind of protects it. And I'm thinking I'm going to order some better canopies for these. I found some I like more. All right, oh yeah, and this kind of connector here is called a JST 2.0 2-pin connector. So it's got 2 pins, 2 wires. That's why it's called 2-pin. It's a little thicker and bigger. I think the 2.0 means 2 millimeters. That's 2 millimeters across there. And then the headset, I'll go grab a headset and show you guys. Here's the headset. Yours might look a little different. It's going to look basically the same, but might have different antennas. But this is what you'll watch the video through. You put this on your head, like so, and you watch the drone like you're flying the drone. Okay? Pretty cool. So this is all programmable through software called Betaflight. You can change a bazillion different settings. It's kind of complicated. I might make a video that goes through it later. I've already gone through and pre-programmed everybody's though, so it should be working out of the box. All right, let's talk about principles of flight here. Okay, there's some directions that you need to know. One, if you pitch this quadcopter, if you go forward like this, it's going to make the quadcopter, well, first let's talk about the throttle and thrust. If you just go up here, right here on this part of your controller, this controls the throttle. This makes it go up and down, controls how fast the blades spin. Okay, right here, this one controls the pitch. Pitch is either forward or back. Now, if you pitch forward, you're going to start, thrust is going to be angled this way, and you're going to start going forward. If you pitch back, it's going to go back. Now, one interesting thing is, if you're hovering and you pitch forward, you're going to actually start to go down because you need more thrust to stay up. Okay, so you'll have to increase your thrust a little bit whenever you pitch forward. Okay, going like this, side to side, is roll. Think about doing a barrel roll. Okay, that's roll. That's controlled here on this joystick. Okay, and then the final one is yaw. Yaw is like this right here. Okay, and yaw works like this. Okay, it turns like a car does. Okay, so if a car turns like this, right, that's called yaw. All right. There's a couple different modes, stability modes. So there's algorithms in this flight controller that tell it what to do. If your quadcopter starts going like this, it's going to tell it to stable out by telling these two to spin faster and these two to spin slower, and it'll make it go like this. So stability mode, whenever you're using it, if you press forward, you're going to pitch forward, but if you stop, it's going to stop. Okay, but then there's acro mode, where if you pitch forward, it's going to stay forward until you do some other movement. Okay, and if you tell it to go back, it's really hard to fly in acro. Okay, you will probably be doing mostly stability mode, especially for the competition. There's not much of a benefit to being in acro. There's high rates and low rates. So if you're doing like cool videos and you want to do a bunch of flips and stuff, you can do like high rates. But if you're doing racing type stuff where you're trying to go through small gaps, you want to do low rates. Rates controls like how much, whenever I move the stick this way to pitch forward, if I have high rates, I move it a little bit, it moves a lot. If I have low rates, I move it a little bit, it moves just slowly. And you can change all those settings in Betaflight. All right. And then, yeah, just look up some tips for going through the gates. It's pretty tough. Okay, so once you get it all taken apart, put it all back together, you've labeled everything, you've answered the principles of flight, you're going to come over here, and we're going to do the simulator, okay? Now, I'm going to close out of that. That's the ESC programming tool. Betaflight's right here. So that's where it says Betaflight Configurator. I'll show you guys, but I'm not gonna hook one up. That's what it looks like. But you're going to use this little program called FPV Freerider. So let's double click that. And it'll pull up. You can actually download this on your phone too for free and practice. Now, it's a lot harder to control on your phone, but still, it might be good. All right, we'll have to turn on our controller here, and we'll have to go to calibrate controller every time. It says center all the sticks. You can see there's actually some lines here that help you center them. And hit OK. Okay, and now I go left. I hold left there and hit OK, and it should say yaw. That controls my yaw. I'm going to go up all the way here, and that says throttle. Okay, we go left over here. Sometimes it helps to move them all the way before you do this. I found. I'm gonna hold over here. This is gonna be roll, and then let's do pitch up all the way. Okay. Okay, now you can kind of see on here. Does it look like if I move it halfway to the right? Yeah. Okay, everything looks right. Okay, and I can hit OK. Okay, there you go. The desert mode. And there's a couple things. Self-leveling is stability mode. Acro mode is acro mode. Okay, so we're just going to do self-leveling mode. We got rates low. There's rates high. We're just going to do rates low. Before, when you practice, you might want to try without the camera. It's kind of easier to figure out how the drone works. Look, I'm pitching forward. I'm pitching back. I'm rolling right, rolling left. I'm a yaw. I'm turning around, doing a 360. Okay, so that's yaw. Okay, and then once you get the feel for the quadcopter, go ahead and land it. Switch to camera, and then just practice flying around. You don't have to hit the gates. You can just fly around freely wherever you want to go. Okay, get the feel for it. Once you get a feel for it, and you think you can kind of somewhat make the quadcopter go where you want it to go, you can always hit space, resets it, I think. Or no, is it escape? Oh, well, no. You can go to timed race. Okay, and in order to complete this, you got to complete this race. You go through these gates, and you have to do 3 laps in under 3 minutes. Okay, so you're gonna go through these. I would say go slower. Actually, you've got a ton of time. I mated the 3 minutes is like a ton of time. Like I bet I can. I'm not even going very fast right now. So little slow controlled movements. You can see I'm moving very slowly. I'm not like. Woo. Oh, I crashed, but I got a lap. Okay, so you can change that, get those rates in. If you want to see what acro mode is, I'll show you real quick. I'll put rates on high, and we'll go and I'll show you. So like acro mode, if I want to do a roll, flip, if I want to dive down. So this is where you do like the crazy stuff. Your tiny loops won't do these maneuvers very well. It's just not designed. The bigger quadcopters will. So you can go a lot faster in this. You'll be able to tell, but yeah. Okay. But you'll get those 3 laps, and once you do that, then we'll start flying your actual quadcopter. Okay. So there's other maps here if you want to practice and play around with. You're more than welcome to it. All right, and that's pretty much the most of the assignment I have for right now. Okay, thank you guys.